These are the top 5 wins of the Collingwood Football Club in the life of my guest, former host of Before the Game, King of Moomba and all-round legend, Peter Helliar.
Thanks, Danny. Good to be here.
Now, I feel a win for Collingwood would just be so much more special because the rest of the league hates you.
Yeah, I mean, well, to be honest, I like what Eddie Maguire said about the Queen, now King's birthday round against Melbourne, where it's basically Melbourne's grand final each year. They look forward to it. They famously announced that Jack Watts would debut like 6 rounds earlier than that, which is a weird thing to do. And you know that's Melbourne's grand final. But he said for Collingwood it's round 11. So everybody hates us. Everybody wants to beat us. Mm-hmm. They go to this game. We play rounds 1 through now 24.
It's quite odd because you're such a nice guy. You're friendly with everyone, you're general public and everything. You don't feel like a Collingwood supporter.
Well, this is the new age Collingwood. We're coached by Ted Lasso.
You are, yeah.
People, somewhat liking us to a degree, and it's. I think it's uncomfortable for everyone. I think it's just there's a honeymoon period that's happening. I think it's about the snap open.
Hopefully, here we go. Number 5.
Collingwood v Geelong, round 1, 2023. So you miss football as over the summer. Mm-hmm. You can't wait. There's all the anticipation.
And you had the season from heaven.
Yes.
The year before, where you just came out of nowhere and were winning all these close games, a few of which we will be talking about, and lost the prelim by a point in controversial circumstances to the Swans.
Absolutely. And it was a weird feeling to touch on that game just briefly, because it was obviously devastating to lose a prelim by a point. We'd done it a few years earlier. It was devastating, but there's a certain amount of pride to it. Nobody saw that season coming. So I was at the game, I drove to Sydney, I watched the game, we lost by a point, and it was devastating, but it was also, to hear the Collingwood chant kind of overall the Sydney theme song as I played at the stadium was pretty special. So there's a lot of anticipation going into this season. We weren't sure, people weren't tipping us to even make the 8. And certainly nobody's had us in the premiership discussions for whatever reason. I was a bit more bullish. I kind of thought we had still the nucleus of that 2018 grand final team that went so close there. And Nick Dacos and Josh Dacos and Isaac Quaynor. I thought it wasn't that bad. So a lot of anticipation going, and then we played the reigning premiers at the MCG. They get out to something like a 4-goal lead at some point in the first half, and then we just make our way back. We just Ash Johnson gets involved, and we just start heaping on goals. But the moment that I'll always remember, and in fact I don't think I've ever heard a louder cheer or roar from the Collingwood end, is Ollie Henry, who had left Collingwood in reasonably controversial circumstances, in that it was almost a go-home factor, but he lives in Geelong.
Yeah, that's less than an hour.
It's less than an hour.
But who tackled it?
Disappointing. So he's running into an open goal, and you can almost see him grinning. He thinks he's got it. There's a bloke it might have been Tyson Stengel or somebody who was in the goal square. He could have handballed it too, and he didn't. And fair enough. He thought nobody was behind him, but somebody was behind him. So that somebody was Darcy Moore, our newly minted captain.
Oh yes.
So it was the new captain tackling
Judas.
Judas, somebody who had left the Collingwood Football Club. You don't leave the Collingwood Football Club unless we say so.
You're the mafia.
And the roar, I've never heard a roar like it, to be honest. And the ball spilled out. Darcy got the free kick. It was just amazing. They actually did kick one like 30 seconds later.
That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But that roar was amazing. And to get a round 1 win to set up the season against a reigning premier, manna from heaven.
And did it make you think that if you had beaten the Swans in that prelim and met Geelong in that grand final, you would have won?
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think basically the 2023 grand final is pretty much... Yeah, so we actually went back to back this year.
Well done. Well done. Number 4.
Round 9, 2011, Collingwood v Adelaide at now Marvel Stadium. Who knows? It probably was Etihad Stadium. Docklands. We're a pretty hot team coming off the premiership. I think travelling pretty well in 2011. In fact, we were a better team in 2011 than we were in 2010. We only lost, in fact, to one team that year, Geelong, 3 times.
Oh.
So, yeah, it's one of those weird things that people, I think, forget. So, this is one of those days where you go, oh, the team's just off. And we got to something like 44 points down. And had almost given up. And then the boys got busy. And Daisy Thomas, been pretty instrumental in that. It's a famous game because Andrew Cracker took mark of the year. In this game. I think, from memory, in the last quarter. So when this surge is happening, we're piling on goals. Something like 9 goals or something in the last quarter. He's taken mark of the year. So, comebacks are very special.
Oh yes.
And when you do it from that far behind, it's pretty infectious. You were there? I was there. And the place was a rocket.
Number 3.
It was round 8, 2002, Collingwood v Brisbane.
A grand final preview.
And this was a cracking game. So this was at Etihad or Docklands, and Brisbane are the reigning premier. They beat Essendon the year before. Nobody was expecting Collingwood to challenge for a grand final this year. And we come up against the reigning premier and we beat them.
And Brisbane were in the middle of they were brutal.
Oh.
They were one of the best sides probably you'll ever see, arguably the best.
In my lifetime, it's the Hawthorn team of the 80s and the Brisbane team, this Brisbane team, that are the two absolute standout teams. So you got Jonathan Brown, Justin Lepich, now Collingwood coach Craig McRae. He was more of a role player, but he's a very good player.
Mm-hmm.
But in a team of superstars, Ackermanis, Voss, Black,
Lynch,
they were formidable. And to get a win against that team just was like, oh, shit just got serious. And I love those moments where you're going, oh, okay, the season just changed. The temperature in the room just changed. Our expectations changed.
It almost kills the celebration because you're happy to get a win. It's like, are we good?
It's a really good point. When things go from being, winning's fun to winning serious, it does change things. Like you can have a year where that's what 2022 was fun. Craig McRae's first season. It's like it almost came out of nowhere. It's like, this is fun. And I always think teams, when they kind of leap up, get a fun year.
Yes, that's the best year. You get about one a decade if your team's doing well.
Absolutely. It's like you take teams by surprise, take supporters by surprise. The expectations are low, and that was probably 2002 for Collingwood. I also remember just the atmosphere. Like Etihad or Docklands does get nobody's favourite place to play.
Hey,
sorry. But when it's tense,
it's a great stadium,
and because the tension stays in the room. It was a night game. From memory, the roof was closed, but it was moving. You could feel it move, and it was just like to beat the reigning premier. Yes, it was a home game, but it was incredible. Trav Cloak and Chris Tarrant, I think 8 or 9 goals between them. Rupert Matheris, I think, kicks 3. It was just a game where you think, okay, this season's actually kind of this is really fun, and this could lead to something.
Number 2,
round 19, 2022, Collingwood v Essendon. This will come as no surprise to Collingwood supporters. Collingwood supporters watching this are going, yeah, we know what you want number 1 and 2 is. But this is what an incredible game. So Collingwood get out to a pretty good lead early on. I think we kicked something like 7 goals to 1 in the first quarter or something like that. Ash Johnson takes a hanger. Everything's working for us. It's how much at this stage. And then Essendon kind of come back in the second quarter. I think they almost do to us what we did to them in the first. And then they not only do they get back in the game, they actually get quite a bit in front. I think at 3/4 time they're up by close to 5 goals. And then we kind of come back pretty quickly as Collingwood were making a habit of doing around this time. but it's too late. Like
They did look home. Even from a neutral perspective, Essendon looked home. I was about to text Essendon mates going, "Oh, that's an upset. Well done."
Also, just describe the feeling that you're feeling. Like, when you're feeling all is lost. Like sometimes when you're behind, you think, if we just kick the next one, this was like, no, the game's done.
Game's done. And what's worse is you've got to deal with smug Essendon fans as you leave the stadium. And Collingwood fans would cop that so much worse than anyone else.
Absolutely. And one of their players, one of their young players, has a shot from about 40 out.
And misses.
And he hits the post. If you kick the goal, you win the game. If you miss, it leaves the door ajar. And the door was ajar. maybe there's a play in the 1990 qualifying final involving Darren Mullane, Gavin Brown, and Peter Dacos, was maybe the greatest goal ever kicked. But this will go down in Collingwood folklore as far as the chain. As soon as Scott Penderbury can, he goes to Darcy Moore. Essendon are lazy. Like, there's no other word for it. This was a lazy period for the Essendon Football Club. I think culturally, I think potentially they can be lazy. Out the Darcy Moore, he goes out to Trempianco out on the wing. He goes out to Trempianco. Trempianco then sends a pass. He could have actually gone inboard to somebody, but he actually goes a bit longer to Jamie Elliott in the pocket, like on the boundary line, who has two Essendon players basically on him.
Yep.
Neither of them get a touch on him. No body on him at all. He's able to take the mark over his head on the boundary line. The siren goes. We're down by whatever it is, doesn't matter. And he goes back and kicks a goal after the siren. And is there
curving snapshot?
Is there a better feeling than a kick after the siren? It's heartbreaking when it happens the other way. I do feel for Essendon supporters who have to live through that. But
no, you don't.
No. It's a bit of PR. Comedy festival on sale now, touring around the country. The scenes after the game, and that's what's great about goals after the siren, the scenes of jubilation. The Pies has gone to the boundary line. The fans were involved, and it was magical, and it kind of was. It was like, okay, things are serious, and good things are about to happen.
Number one win that Peter Helliar has seen in Collingwood home and away seasons in his lifetime.
I don't think there's any surprise. It's round 23, 2022, Collingwood Carlton. So this is 4 weeks after the last game we just spoke about, the Jamie Elliott goal after the siren.
So the best month of your life.
And Collingwood were winning these games. It was the most fun football year I have ever had. And I think anyone's ever had, to be honest. If you're a Collingwood supporter in 2022, you are having the time of your life, and then into 2023. But 2023 was spectacular. All these close wins we were having, they weren't all comebacks. I think it's been kind of remodeled as we're always coming from behind. It wasn't always that. Sometimes we actually were leading, and our lead was cut down, and we ended up winning by a small margin. But this was a game that the biggest Collingwood. I grew up. And Collingwood Carlton meant everything, just huge. And it went away for a little while.
But this was big because Carlton were finally good again after being terrible for decades.
Yeah.
This was their chance to finally make finals for the first time in about 10 years. And it looked like in the third quarter, they dominating you.
It looked like, going into it, there's no doubt this is the biggest Collingwood Carlton game ever.
Yep.
Because they had to win to make finals, and we had to win to clinch a top 4 spot. So the stakes were huge for both teams, and it was just electric. So we outplayed them the whole game. Like we ended up kicking. Obviously, we'll go through the goal in a second. We ended up winning the game by a small margin. There were Carlton fans who say, "Oh, we were robbed." You weren't robbed. You kicked. You had one good quarter. You kicked like something like 8 goals in the third quarter.
Yeah.
You kicked in like 3 goals for the rest of the game. You don't win games in football by kicking 3 goals over 3 quarters. But it looked like it was worrying. We got up to a bit of a lead. We cut it back, but we're down with not long to go, a couple of minutes. And Nick Dacos, a lot of people may have seen that grand final in 2023, and his look away handball to Jordan Ngoe in mid-air, and gone, oh wow, that's a neat trick. Is that the first time he's done it? No, it wasn't the first time he's done it. He did it in this play where he handballs it in the air in the back line to Braden Maynard. Braden Maynard sends an absolute bullet to Scott Pendlebury in the middle of the ground. Pendle, he says later, he was actually out on his feet, but he sees Jamie Elliott and Jack Ginnivan at the half-forward flank. It's 2-on-1, and Jamie Elliott gets it, creates some separation. Jack Ginnivan does some good team first kind of shepherding, and it does. The counter play then does get around Ginnivan and gets close to Elliott, who's coming in at a pretty 45-degree angle, even maybe a bit sharper than that. He could have actually given the ball. The safer play would be to give the ball back to Ginnivan, who could have hooked around and had a shot from more square in front. I ever asked Jamie Elliott if he saw Ginnivan. He said I didn't actually see him. I'm not sure if he was telling the truth. But, I mean, he's the man of the moment. He owned the moment against Essendon, and he owns the moment he kicks the goal. And it's just, it was glorious. I was down that end, and it was, I was cheering so loud, and I had to sit down to calm myself. It was just glorious. To be absolutely honest, I don't hate Carlton supporters any more than in fact, I wouldn't even say I hate Carlton supporters. To be absolutely honest, I love Collingwood so much that every other supporter is just the same to me.
Yeah,
they're just
the enemy.
Yeah, it's the enemy. Yep. They barrack for it. You know what team they barrack for? Not Collingwood. That's the team they barrack for.
Mm-hmm.
So
my favourite team, to be honest.
And I have enough friends who are Carlton supporters who have gone through so many years of pain. Mm-hmm. I'm not really celebrating in their loss. I'm celebrating our win, and it was glorious. It set us up. It set us up. We have a double chance, and anything's possible. As time has gone on, and I've heard Carlton supporters whinge about that game, I take a little bit of joy in their misery. I'll be honest.
So that's Pete's list. What did he get right? What did he get wrong? Pies fans, I'm sure you have some suggestions for even better wins. Let us know in the comments below. Normally I record this outro with the person, but the camera died. Do check out Pete's show at the Comedy Festival, touring around to your city very soon. You can check it all out at comedy.com.au. And don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button and all that crap that YouTubers say. But if you've enjoyed it, yeah, please, that would be lovely.